How are you doing? This is David W. Williams, the founder of the highest paid part-time job in the world, options trading course. And what we're really quickly going to talk about is options contracts basics explained. If you're somebody that doesn't really understand some of the principles of the options market, and because of that, you're not able to really wrap your head around it, so then therefore you can't really get involved in the marketplace from a trading perspective, what we're going to do in this really quick audio/video is kind of use a real world analogy to get you to understand an options contract, especially from the call side. So we'll probably do in this video is do the call side, maybe another video do the put side. But what I really want to do is help you get you to understand this from a principle or conceptual standpoint. We're not going to talk about the Greeks. We're not going to do anything technical. We're not going to do anything complex. I want you to understand the relationship of this particular scenario from a fundamental standpoint. Now, what I want you to understand is that an option means, in this particular specific situation, it means that you have the right to do something or to not do something. So what I mean is that, let's say hypothetically, you have a contract and the contract tells you in the 6th year, you can either stay in the contract or you can get out of the contract. Well, that is an option in the contract. So you can do something or you cannot do something, but you don't have to do anything. You understand me? Now, when you're looking at the market, an option essentially gives you that same ability where you can do something or not do something. You don't have to do anything when you buy the contract. When you sell contracts, you are obligated to do something. When you buy the contract, you're not obligated to do anything. So I want to make sure you understand that, so I'm going to repeat it. When you sell an options contract, and what I mean by that is that you're the person who originated the contract originated from you. You can be obligated to do something. When you buy the contract from the seller, right, you are not obligated to do anything. However, you can do something. Now, I don't want to get this complicated because a lot of people, they will get stuck on who the originator of the contract is and who the seller is. So that's why I don't want to really get too deep into this. But I want you to understand, an option gives you the ability to do something or not to do something. You're not obligated to do anything, right? So that's what you want to understand. Let's use a real world example for you to get you to understand an option contract from a very basic fundamental standpoint. Let's say hypothetically, I own a car. Let's say I own a car ABC. And you know I own that car. And you have information that this summer, a movie is going to come out and that car is going to be presented in that movie. And you believe because of this presentation, it's going to drive up the market's perception of the value of this car. This is your belief. You believe market sentiment is going to become very bullish behind the value of this car. So you go to me and you say, David, I want you to create an options contract for me to buy that car from you. And I need you to come up with some terms that I can agree with. And if I agree with the terms, I will buy that contract. Not buy the car, buy the contract. So I say, cool, let me go and put the terms together and I'm going to come back to you and we'll chop it up. And when I come back to you is this. I say, hey, you can buy this car from me for blue book value of $5,000. Now, everybody, pretty much not everybody, but a lot of people know what blue book was. At one time, it's online now, but it used to be this book that you could buy from the store and it would tell you the value of a particular car. So you say, I tell you, say, hey, you can buy this car from me for a blue book value of $5,000. However, you only have 6 months to decide whether or not you can buy this car from me. So the moment we enter into the contract, you got a 6-month window to whether or not you're going to buy that car from me at the blue book value of $5,000. Okay? So the terms of the deal is you can buy the car for $5 grand. You got 6 months to make a decision. And I tell you, I will sell that contract to you for $1,000. So we're going to go over the terms again. You buy the contract for $1,000. That's what you got to pay me. You have 6 months to decide whether or not you want to buy that car from me for $5,000. So now if you do decide to buy the car from me for $5,000 within the 6 months, you're out how much? $6,000, because you paid $1,000 to lock in that deal or to lock in the terms of that contract, and you'll be on the hook for another $5,000. Okay, so that's the terms. You agree to it. You give me the $1,000, I give you the contract. Now within the terms of the contract, that contract can be assigned to somebody else. But I originated the contract. But in the terms of the contract can be assigned to another person. The contract can be sold, and those terms will stay fixed, right? So we're in the 6-month window. The movie comes out. It presents this car in a very favorable light. It creates a lot of momentum and a lot of attention around this particular car. And what happens is now the blue book value of that car goes to $10,000. So now what you have is you have a contract that states you can buy the car for $5,000, even though the blue book value now of the car, because the market's sentiment or the market's perception of the car has gone up, is now $10,000. So now what you do is you go find someone else that is willing to buy that contract from you. And you tell them, I will sell you this contract for $1,500. So what do you make? You make $500 on the contract, so you get a 50% return. And then now that person that buys that contract, they can get that car for $5,000 plus the $1,500 they paid, which is what? $6,500. The car blue book is worth $10,000. So in their mind, this is a great deal. You understand me? And really, in reality, you could have probably sold that contract for more money than the $500, but I'm just trying to keep everything basic, keep the numbers real round. This is the options market, right? So as a trader, what you're looking to do is you're looking to pay a premium for essentially terms that are favorable to you based on where you think the direction of the market is going. Now, people will say, well, that's speculation. So is investing. Person can do all the discounted cash flows they want to do. Nobody can tell you where the market is going. If people could tell the future, they wouldn't invest. They would just buy lotto tickets. Understand that. If people could predict the future, they would not invest. They wouldn't buy real estate. They wouldn't even start businesses. They would buy lotto tickets. Because if you know the future, you just go buy a lotto ticket. Pay $2 and win a Powerball for $300 million. And you wouldn't have any of these headaches of trying to figure this stuff out. So a person can do all the discounted cash flows they want to do to try to figure out how to value a company properly, right? But nobody can predict the future. So anytime you're investing, right, you're believing, which belief has nothing to do with evidence or facts. You're believing that the price will be greater in the future than what it is currently. So let's say I buy Apple today. It's because I believe in 10 years from now, Apple will be more valuable than the price I paid today, which by definition, I'm speculating on the price of Apple. So the difference between me and a lot of people is I'm not a hypocrite. I just embrace it all. It's all speculation. It's all forward thinking, right? Belief, right? It's all being bullish or bearish on the future of a situation. I'm not a hypocrite. I just embrace it all, right? But you got to understand is you have to know how to manage the risk properly when in these situations, because you can't predict the future. Because if you could predict the future, you just go buy a lotto ticket. So as an options trader, you have a belief about the direction of the share price of a company and really the direction of how the market is going to perceive the value of that company and whether or not that value is going to result in people buying more of that stock at a higher price or selling that stock at a lower price. And then you just try to figure out what time interval works for you, whether it's going to be a week, 90 days, 120 days, 5 years, yada, yada, yada. Right? That's what you do as a trader. And then understanding is that without trading, there is no market. There's not even a market for people to even invest. But I don't want to get on the side point. So this is option contract basics. And I want to try to give you like a real life example so you can kind of understand how this market works, who the players are in the market. So in that particular scenario, We had three players. We had the guy that originated the contract, the person that owned the car, who was myself. We had you, who's the person that bought the original contract. And then we had the third person that came in that the contract got sold to. And then what they're going to do is they're going to go assign the contract and make me sell them the car at $5,000. So that's why I try to get you to understand the person that originates the contracts is obligated, right? Because the contract originated from them. But you as an options trader, just as a trader, you don't have any obligation. You have the option to do something. So you got to understand how all the different parties work. So I hope this video was good to you. Hope it made sense. If you got any questions about the highest paid part-time job in the world and what that can do for your life, this program is directed at people that are not satisfied with the 9-to-5 income. They're not satisfied with the amount of time that they have to use to generate that income. And they're tired of having their income being capped by somebody else or by a particular structure that determines how much money they make at the beginning of the year. Reach out to me about the course, right? Today is the lowest price the course will ever be. If you have any questions, reach out to me. This is David W. Williams, also known as Diamond Dave, and I'll talk to you later.